This is going to be the FMS F-100 Monster Truck, and could this be the first RC for you or your kids? Let's find out by driving it together. Let's go. Before I begin, if you can, please help me like and subscribe, as this is going to keep my content flowing. Thank you. Alright, so here's going to be the box. You can see that this is going to be the license for body, so yeah, should be fairly skilled. So in the box, you should be getting a manual, which FMS generally has pretty good explosion kind of part list. So yeah, if you break something, very, very handy. You're going to be getting a small bag of tools and kind of like lightning, kind of little decals and kind of like roller wheels on the back. So yeah, this is something we will be installing later. All right, so you're going to get a decent transmitter with lots of controls in here. Very, very nice feeling. And it does require 4 AA batteries, which we will be using whatever the cheapest one we can find. So yeah, Vonico did actually send these batteries to me. They're cheap enough and they are working fine. You know, just whatever is cheap is good. All right, so lastly is going to be our big guy, which is the FMS F-100. When you see it on video, it does look a lot smaller, but when you actually have it in front of you, this thing is gigantic. All right, so the first part, I do think that this should be going here, simple, just kind of like snap on. Right, I would assume the roller bar is supposed to be going in like that. All right, so ta-da! This is basically going to be everything installed. So yep, very, very gorgeous body. The front grille, I will say that it's probably the best in the entire truck. You actually get like a chrome design in your truck, because that's not something that you usually get in kind of like basher type of cars. These are complete plastic, but they do look pretty good. I just hope they kind of like sustain a little bit longer, because we're going to be crashing them a lot and probably is going to get a lot of battle scars later on. Besides the beautiful body, you are able to spot some of the factory blemish right here. You can see that. I think this is just a sticker, so it's not going to be a big deal, but this is a brand new truck and this shouldn't be happening. All right, so one of the design I really like is these kind of like extra large polar pins, and you do also get like the string that attach to the body. So these are not going to be easily loosened when you kind of drop them, because yeah, when you kind of pull it off trying to replace a battery, these are really hard to kind of like remember. You know, it gets lost in your pocket so easily, and I really like it to be attaching to the body, so very like this design. All right, so as for the tires, you're going to be getting a super big monster truck tire. Obviously the rims are going to be in plastic at kind of this price level. You're not going to be getting metal anyway. So for the tires itself, these are actually glued on. I don't think these are B-locks. Super lots of air in here, super soft. So yeah, we should be able to get kind of a lot of bounciness with this. And also, I don't think there's actually a foam in here. I just can't feel it. So yeah, we'll see how it actually performs in the later testing. Looking at the interior, you're gonna get a one-piece chassis. This is just gonna be in complete plastic, but based on what people are saying, this is supposed to be durable enough, and I doubt you're going to be breaking it easily, because this is also a brushed car, so it shouldn't be that fast. Yeah, the bumper, everything here, you can see, yeah, all the front and rear suspension arms, these are going to be in completely plastic as well, which is a good thing, because plastics are going to be softer when you actually have impacts. You know, if you put metals, they're probably going to be bent permanently, but these typically bounces back, and you will be able to buy parts to kind of replace it and fix it yourself. As for the electronics, we are going to be getting a 2-in-1 ESC, so your ESC and RX is going to be combining one thing. So if you wanted to use your own radio, you will have to replace this whole thing. And as for how much battery power it actually supports, it runs 2S to 3S, and yeah, I would say that probably 2S is better, because I heard a lot of people when they run 3S, the motor is going to be a lot of heat on top of it, because this is actually a brushed motor. As for the motors, we are going to be getting a brushed 550 motor, so that's why this car is so budget, because it's the brush system. Also, something to note is that this truck is going to be rear-wheel drive, so there is not going to be any powertrain for the front wheel. On the front, there's only going to be a servo that is kind of powering the direction. That's it. Also, we are going to be getting oil-filled shocks right here, and I do think that these are supposed to be performing pretty well. All right, so next, let's actually add some batteries, because the one I got is for RS. There's no battery included, so we will be using the Gen Ace 2S battery that I have. This is going to have a different kind of plug. We are going to have a T plug on this. But the good thing is that we can just use an adapter to kind of like adapt it over. So you can see, yeah, convert it from T plug to XT60, and we will be able to kind of plug it in later. Okay, this is the biggest 2S battery I have on the bench at the moment. So yeah, we are just gonna have to work with it, but there's gonna be a really big foam right here, so I will assume that it should be good enough to kind of get it stuck. Okay, I think we got it. So actually, this is actually pretty handy. We are able to just plug it in like that. All right, this is the time we're gonna be taking out the remote, and I believe the power up switch is right here. And then we power up the car. All right, so obviously going to be fully proportional. Wow, it's actually pretty fast. And as this is a brush system, you can hear that the brush sounds pretty loud. And at the front, yep, this is going to be how fast the steering. All right, so for the remote, there is going to be certain important stuff you need to know. So you can see that there is going to be a little switch right here. So number 2 is going to be the battery type you're going to be using. So yep, if you put it on the left side, as we are right here, this is going to be LiPo battery. And if you want to switch it to the right side, it's going to be the Niham whatever battery, I can't pronounce it. And for the number 3 and 4, this is how much drag brake you want. So if it's currently at all left, this is going to be no drag brake at all. So let's start with 0 drag brake. Okay, you can see that no drag brake at all. And if you push the number 4 over to right, okay, you can hear that we're getting some drag brakes. Push number 3 also to right. Okay, drag brake 100%. All right, so I think we're just fully set up, and let's actually start driving this. As you can see from the footages, driving this in a park environment is definitely no problem, and being a monster truck, yep, the big tires does help a lot when you're going over grass and something. You just have a lot of clearance, and it's just a fun experience because it just goes anywhere you want it to go. Since this is running on a brush motor, it is not going to be particular fast. It's going to be fast enough, but if you are going to be a fast runner, you can still catch it up. For me, if I run in full speed, I cannot catch up. That's the problem. The tires are actually quite grippy and was able to provide some good tractions. Just remember that this is going to be a 2-wheel vehicle, so the steering tires are just going to be spinning, and they're just not going to be like getting any like power to it. So yep, a 4-wheel is obviously going to still be better in the scenario, but overall, yeah, this is why you get it for a cheaper price. And since this is not going to be a particular fast truck, the wheelies are not as much as expected. So yep, only when occasionally on the correct angle. Next, we're going to be driving this on a concrete paved road, so basically just right in front of my driveway, and you can see that we're going to be running this through some speed bumps, and I would say that the shocks are actually tuned pretty nicely out of the box directly. You don't need to do anything to it. You can see, yeah, takes off, landing, perfect. But we also have to mention that since this is not a fast truck, sometimes you do feel like when you're jumping over certain objects, it does lack a little bit of speed, and probably it's going to land wrongly. That is just kind of my experience. So the next drive is going to be on a baseball field, which is kind of imitates the dirt type of road that we often see outside, and it's always quite satisfying to see that it does generate like rear tires. And on a dirt pavement like this is where you can start doing donuts, because yep, it's going to be much more slippier than most of the terrains. The only downside of this is it's going to get super dirty later on, so yep, something that you have to pay attention. Next, we are going to be driving this at a skate park, and I just don't know how good this thing is going to survive, but yeah, fingers crossed. Let's see how it does. Oh well, it looks like we actually broke something. You can see that, yeah, the spring actually went off on this thing. So yeah, the servo is still working, but yep, it's not kind of like turning at our wheels anymore. So yep, too bad we have to like swing home and fix this. Well, that was actually short-lived. Now we are back to the bench and we can take a look at what we actually broke this time. So very glad that Fair RC was able to carry these parts. So the main part that we're actually going to be using in here, probably just going to be these two parts. I think we can leave this as is. I don't think this one's broken, but after we remove it, we can take a look. And since we're going to be opening the truck up, we are going to be upgrading the shock tower from plastic to these fully metal, but trotzy metal like shock tower. Looking at what we actually broke, so you can see that this is going to be the thing that is actually managing the steering. You can see that the thing that actually completely broke off, so this one is not engaged and causing the servo is not able to turn the wheel, so we just have to replace this. This is a part that is going to probably cost you about $6 US if you can actually find it in US. This is not going to be a super hard fix, and if you have a 3D printer, I think you can even just print your own stuff if you want to do that. Okay, so we are just going to be removing these tires first. So we're going to start with these shock towers. Simple. Take off 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's it. As it is just taking too long, I am bringing out some help. Okay, I'm just going to remove this. I think we can just take this off. How do you do this? Here we go. And next, we're going to snap in this Crotzy super cool metal water plate and just screw everything back in. All right, our first upgrade is done. Now let's get the one on the rear. So for this one, a little bit more screws that we have to remove. So we basically have to remove this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So in order for us to get to the screw, I think you do need to remove this whole thing as well. After removing the rear bumper and the wheelie bar, you will be able to remove these two screws as you are required to remove them in order to reveal it to make it easier to remove. Now we can just remove this piece. Right now, we're just going to reverse engineer everything. Start with this. Alright, so now the rear has been completed. Now let's switch to the front and we can fix our steering. This one should be fairly simple. All you have to do to fix this, if this is all you wanted to do, is we can just remove this. You can see that this is completely broken off. The only part that we're going to need is this little cap and also this little spring. Alright, so it looks like we have fixed everything. Now let's actually plug in the battery to see if we actually fixed our steering. I think we did, but it's always good to validate it. Let me turn it this way. Hope it doesn't run off. Alright, so we're back in the game. Yep, so you can see that this is just a little small piece and it could just affect the whole thing. So I would say probably, I don't think we actually need to buy this. You can just get like a little washer and just kind of fix it instead of just having to replace the whole thing. So this is just something that I think you can learn from my mistake. All right, so back in the game. Alright, so the good news is that we are able to fix our truck and also upgrade it a little bit. And I do feel like the performance is slightly better. It's kind of like more psychological more than actual because, yeah, I don't think that it's actually going to increase a lot of performance. But, yep, now let's talk about some of my final thoughts about this truck. First thing first, definitely price is one of the attractive points of this particular truck because, yes, for the money you're paying and the things you're actually getting, this is actually much, way worth it. Although it is just a brush car, but I would say you are going to have a blast of a time with this, and I truly love this RC truck. However, one thing to consider, as you see in the video, durability is probably something you wanted to consider before pulling the trigger because, yep, if you drive full speed, hit something at the correct spot, yep, you can see that it's going to get crippled. So something that you have to pay attention to. I don't think this is going to be a deal breaker for me because I'm still enjoying this truck a lot. So I hope my 2 cents is actually helpful. And if you are actually an owner and would like to share some of your thoughts about the F-100, why not just drop a comment down below so you can also help other people decide. Alright, so wrapping up this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.